Alright, what's up? What's going on, guys? It's your boy Chombles, and I'm back with another video. I don't know why my throat always gets really scratchy right when I start recording, but yeah, today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different kind of video, something that I think will be beneficial to you guys as I get the questions quite often. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this up into probably multiple parts just so that this isn't a super long video, I guess I could say. So what we're going to actually be talking about is Nidalee's worst matchups in the top lane. Now this goes for both AP and AD Nidalee, as well as tank. So yeah, let's get started. So number one on the list is going to be Pantheon. You know, the spear spamming piece of shit. The reason Pantheon's actually a hard matchup is just because basically a good Pantheon will abuse obviously his spears, throwing his Q at you every time it's up. But what a super good Pantheon will do against a Nidalee top lane is basically wait for you to go into Cougar form and jump in, and as soon as you're jumping in, he can stun you mid-animation and then just fully combo you and you're dead. So because a lot of Nidalee's damage is actually coming from her Cougar form while being hunted, Pantheon makes it really difficult for you to actually execute your damage, as well as the fact that he can block your Q, Cougar form Q, takedown with a passive, so with his passive stack. So really annoying. I think there's just multiple reasons he's probably the hardest, or one of the hardest. This is also kind of going to go in order, I think. So, also these are going to be the more played champs in the top lane that I think are being played more now. So next up is the keyboard smashing piece of shit, aka Riven. So Riven is actually in a kind of weird spot with versing AD Nidalee, so it's actually a pretty fun matchup, to be completely honest. Actually takes a kind of a lot of skill to play the matchup properly to actually beat her. It takes a lot of practice, but overall I think Riven is again one of the harder matchups for AD Nidalee, especially if you are new to her or you just haven't played a lot of games versus Riven, so you're not really sure about spacing and all that. So again, she has crazy gap closers, something that Nidalee is very bad with. She wants to keep her distance and keep autoing with her human form, and then go in with a Cougar form to try to take you out. So Riven does that pretty well. Of course, you can always beat her in lane. Not saying that you can't, but again, harder matchup. She has her stun. She can all in you, and when you all in, she can try to kind of stop that with her stun, just like Pantheon's, and her E, which blocks a lot of damage. So again, Riven, kind of the harder matchup, as well as Pantheon. Next is going to be on the list, a champ that's actually playing quite a lot now, is Darius. In one of my videos, if you haven't seen it, I played against Darius. Actually, quite a bit of my videos. Darius can be a hard matchup if you do not space correctly, just like Riven. He's in a position where you can actually snowball off him, but you really have to play the lane well. Even if he is behind, he can still get ahead just because of his items and his pure base stats that he has. So with that, Darius again kind of an obnoxious top laner to go against. He's definitely in a good position to beat Nidalee, but you're also in a good position to beat him. And it's one of those matchups where you can either snowball or he will. And because of that, I rate him around third when it comes to difficulty. Next is going to be somebody that you might not think is too obvious, but it's actually going to be Akali. So Akali is kind of this champ that hasn't seen play for a while, but she's starting to come back up with a few buffs, a few changes to her kit, as well as item changes. So the reason Akali is actually difficult is purely when she hits 6 and she has her stacks of her ulti. With gap closers, again, Nidalee is just extremely poor against gap closing champions. It's basically her pure like weakness, I guess, in the top lane, is people just getting onto her and then she can't get away. So because of Akali's dashes with her R, that makes Nidalee kind of in a poor situation. You can beat her. So the list is kind of weird. So because Nidalee is in this kind of crappy situation right now, she can beat the champs that she's bad against, but that's only assuming the person you're playing against is also bad and they don't know how to play the matchup. And that's purely basically everybody on this list. But again, you can beat everybody on this list. It just kind of, it's more 60-40 just as a borderline with all these people, with all these champions. And you have to keep that in mind, and you have to know how to play each of these matchups differently to beat the matchup. But you're always at a disadvantage right from the beginning, no matter what, basically. Purely on kit, purely on what they do, and what you do. So, so again, she can gap close, and just burst you before you can really do much. And you can beat her. Again, you can beat her, but it's really at 6. If you cannot punish her before 6, hard enough where she isn't able to just go in and one-shot you once she hits 6, then your chances of winning lane are pretty low. And next on the list is going to be Camille. So Camille, champion that's coming up in popularity again. She had this huge amount of play at the beginning when she was released, but it kind of died down once people were like, all right, let's just ban her. That way we don't have a bad Camille, and that way we don't play good Camille. It's kind of the Yasuo effect. So Camille's in that position where she can literally lock you down, and that's exactly what Nidalee hates, is being locked down, not being able to get movement away and position properly to get off her most amount of damage. So Camille, really strong. She has crazy gap closer with her E, and she does just a bunch of damage, which Nidalee is not good at, I guess, tanking, if this is assuming you're early on into the game. So Camille, pretty hard matchup. You can beat her, though, if you are going against somebody that is poor at Camille. And yeah, it's a harder matchup just because she has so much insta-lock CC that you can't really do much about it. And the next on the list is going to be Gnar. So Gnar is kind of been this champ that has always been good, but not good enough. So it's kind of weird because typically when you see a Gnar player, he's played Gnar for, a crap ton of games and he's mained the champion. So you're more than typically going to be going against somebody who's good at Gnar. And with that, again, you're in all these matchups, you're pretty far behind once it comes to kits and being able to actually beat them. Gnar's the champion that if you go in, he can actually punish you quite hard. He can get his stacks off, transfer or get his rage or whatever it is up, transform, and just literally stun you until you die. And that's basically why Gnar is a problem versus Nidalee. But you can outplay him, more or less using your flash and being able to W his W, which stuns. But it's kind of a harder matchup. You really have to know how to play it, how to space yourself properly, when to go in, controlling his rage bar thing that he has too. So, yeah. Gnar, kind of hard, kind of not. These near the end are kind of the iffies. Next on the iffy list, I guess I'll say, is Irelia. So Irelia can be a problem. You can beat her, but because her Q gap closer is so strong, she also has her either stun or slow, which is really ridiculous, as well as true damage. It's really hard to itemize against her, and because of that, she can snowball off you, but again, you can snowball off her. So it's one of those matchups where you have to play to the other champion and how the other person is playing. But yeah, she just has a really strong kit that kind of locks down Nidalee and holds her back from doing what she is really strong at. And with that, the last on the list that I think is really strong against AP or AD Nidalee top, as well as tank, I guess, is going to be Xin Zhao. Now, Xin Zhao is this champion that when you see one, you're like, this guy is special. We'll say that. So Xin Zhao's kind of this champion that's like, you're scared, but you're not scared. Especially top lane. I've been seeing some Xin Zhao's now going just like pure damage. And the amount of bursts they have, because it's a point and click gap closer that he has, he can do insane amount of damage, and you can't get away from it. So it's kind of, you have to really itemize versus Xin Zhao to really beat him in lane. That's something that I've noticed. Even just trying to poke him early, if he's smart, he'll just take his E and Q and just all in you right when you try to all in him. And most of the time I've found out that he can actually just straight up destroy you. So you really have to play the lane until you have items like, I'd say even like Iceborne, which is an item that I think is pretty shitty right now. So like Iceborne, and after that just going like pure tank, but he can still honestly destroy you, which is kind of ridiculous. But he's this champ that you don't really see too often, which is why I put him near the bottom of the list. But I'd still be wary once you see him. Don't be fooled that you can just keep autoing him until he dies, especially if you misposition yourself, which is something that I think everybody on this list is a reason why they're a problem, because of your mispositioning and then how they can abuse that. But yeah, I think that's basically everybody that I would think is quote unquote the hardest matchups for Nidalee. Like I said before many times, these are champs that purely on kit going in, you are at a 40% chance, I'd say, of winning the lane, which means there is that margin where you're able to kill them and snowball, but they just have a higher percentage of snowballing off you, which is why I'd say, be careful when you play against these champions. If you can, get practice in normal games, hopefully you can go against some of these people or some of these champions and get practice with how to deal with them. But yeah, always take into consideration just, your kit, how you can abuse your kit versus them, and how their kit abuses yours. And I think you guys will be pretty well off. Also, it also depends on itemization, like I said. But I don't want to really get into that much detail. I just want to make this list for you guys so that you know who to be wary of if you face them in solo queue. And yeah, hopefully this helped you guys out. I think I'm going to be doing a list where Nidalee's best matchups. That way, when you go into the game, you can just try to abuse the shit out of them and hopefully snowball and just take over the whole game. That list is pretty short, but I think I'll do it anyways just so that you guys are able to know, and it's just, something that you keep at the back of your head. So hope you guys enjoyed this short little video. Hopefully it helped you guys. If you guys want, I'm going to be doing a viewer game this weekend. Let me check the date. Either the 17th or 18th of March. So if you're watching the video and you want to join, just follow me on Twitter. That's going to be in the description. You can subscribe if you already haven't and you enjoyed this kind of content. As well as if you didn't subscribe and you don't know about this, at 500 subs, I'm going to be doing a RP giveaway. I think we're at like 216 right now or something like that. So we're slowly getting there. Hopefully you guys get excited about that. And maybe tell your friends or whatever to subscribe. Do what you want. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. My God, my voice just died right there. It lets me know that you guys enjoy this, or if you don't enjoy this kind of sub content compared to the gameplay itself. But yeah, just let me know. You can tell me in the description below. Maybe there's other stuff you want me to talk about. And yeah, hopefully you guys all have a great day, and Chumbles out.